We're going to go straight to Moscow. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons just arrived there a little while ago and is joining us now. Keir, you're the first of us on the ground there. Give us a sense of what's happening in Moscow right now.
Well, it's life as normal, Jasmine. As you can see behind me, on one of the main thoroughfares through Moscow, which is pretty stunning when you think about it, just in and of itself, because I really thought, 24 hours ago, that I might be standing here watching or certainly talking about Russians fighting Russians on these streets. Listen, I think, as you mentioned, I've been here a short while, so, inevitably, there's a limited amount of time to just take in, what people are thinking, what people are saying, and there will be a million conversations happening across this city and across this country. And just to remember that this is a country of 11 time zones. So when you try and encapsulate how people feel, that's a challenge. But I think, one Russian that we've heard from today, just describing it as incomprehensible, I think is not a bad summation. Certainly an immigration officer I spoke to as I headed through the airport today simply said to me, as an aside, we've got a bit of a problem with a rebel army. So there are clearly many, many Russians looking at what happened and kind of blinking this today and kind of saying, wow, what do you make of that? And I think that probably is the best way to describe it. We are hearing some narratives, if you like, particularly from Russian media, trying to suggest, for example, that the fact that this didn't happen was a kind of a grown-up moment for Russia, if you like. But there are so many questions, and many of the questions at this point, at this day, right now, this Sunday, this evening, we can't answer.
Keir, as you made your way to where you are now, was there any feeling that there were still tanks on the streets? Did you see any tanks on the streets? Because we knew at one point, watching images of Prigozhin making his way towards Moscow, there were tanks there. So there's no indication of tanks still being there. When you're looking at Russian television, right? When you're looking at the newspapers, if you've had a time to do that, what are they saying? What are the headlines right now in Moscow?
Yeah, sure. Listen, there weren't ever any tanks on the streets here in Moscow. What there were, though, were Wagner forces moving down the M4 highway towards Moscow. So, frankly, just absolutely stunning scenes. I think another. But just to answer your question, what has been around today are some National Guard on the streets, but nothing like what you might have expected just a short time ago this weekend. Just the normality is what's surprising, honestly. And then I think also it's important to kind of mention those scenes in Rostov. That's that city 800 miles from here. Where Wagner, effectively took over the Russian Southern Command for a while, running the Russian operation in Ukraine. And as Wagner left, and as Prigozhin, its leader, left, apparently to go into exile in Belarus, the crowds were cheering and taking selfies and recording videos. And we've got, those images. We can see that, and the Kremlin can see that too. And I think they will be looking at that. And making an assessment about what that means. President Putin, through the entire 2 decades of his leadership, has always been laser focused on what the Russian people think. Imagine what he'll be thinking looking at those pictures.
So the last time we heard from President Putin was Saturday morning, in which he called essentially the people that were part of the Wagner mercenary group war criminals. That were making their way towards Moscow. We have not heard from him since, and we understand he was not part of brokering the deal. It was the Belarusian president, right? Is there any sense from what you are hearing, and even from what you know of President Putin, having interviewed him yourself, that we will be hearing from him?
Well, I think that the Kremlin have some options, don't they? It does appear as if today the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is not talking about what happened just yesterday. So it could well be that the narrative is going to be, that was then, this is now, nothing to see here. It could be that that is what the next coming days look like. I mean, Yasmin, I don't think we know what the weeks ahead look like. honestly. And I think we really have to be honest about that. There is, the comments coming from the US, for example, talking about that this is weakened President Putin. Clearly, I don't have to tell you what it potentially looks like for this, for a clash like this to happen between a kind of a rebel army and the Russian authorities. But I really think we're going to have to see how this plays out, because just a final point, because remember that this country stood on the edge of chaos this past few days.
Yes.
Many people here know what chaos looks like. They remember the 1990s. So are some people going to be thinking, I don't want that? We don't know right now.